Okay, I think we'll get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Caroline Kennedy, and I'm really delighted to welcome you here today for the session on using Chat GPT to revise effectively. So today we're delighted to welcome transition year and senior level cycle students with us, and we will share the recording afterwards. And I suppose Block W is all about closing the gap in tech, the gender gap in tech. And as part of that, what we do is showcase female role models who are enthusiasts in emerging technologies. And one of those is Marie Laffey, who is the head of careers in the University of Galway and a huge AI enthusiast. So what I'm going to do now is we'll open the Q&A function throughout as well for questions. We'll stick to exactly half an hour, as I understand classes are underway. We are recording the session, and I'm going to hand over control to Marie now. So let me just do that. Okay, Marie, you should now be able to.
Thanks, Caroline, and good afternoon, everybody. And delighted to be here today to share some knowledge around how you can use AI to help your study planning, exam revision, assignments, and so on. So I'm just going to share my screen, and Caroline, if you can let me know if you can see that.
Perfect.
Yeah, brilliant. So as Karen said, I'm a big enthusiast of AI and using ChatGPT and other AI tools, and actually have a degree in computer science myself and worked in the technology sector for many years. And as Karen said, I'm actually the head of the Career Development Centre here in the University of Galway, where we actually implement AI and we actually run classes very similar to this, but how you would use AI for your recruitment journey and to secure your job. So for today, I'm going to look at really how you use ChatGPT tools and prompting and how you should be structuring your prompts, and then really looking at examples of prompting for your study skills and then additional tips. And I'll be stopping the sharing, going back out to and doing some demo on ChatGPT of some of the prompts that I've created. And as Karen said, I'm happy to share a copy of the presentation afterwards so that you can have your records when you're sitting down and looking at your studies. So the first thing really in terms of prompting, this is the basic structure of a prompt from an AI perspective from ChatGPT. You know, in terms of acting as a role, you wanted to create a task and you wanted to output in some way, in some format. And so looking at the structure of a prompt, you also need to be very conscious around that you're given a clear and specific instructions. So often people will say, you know, I've given prompting, but I'm not getting a great output back. And one of the most important things is being specific. So, you know, if you want to say, tell me about Macbeth, tell you what, it doesn't know what you want to know. But if you provide, you know, a 1,000-word overview of key points of Macbeth that I need to know for questions that might be asked in a Leaving Cert exam. And you can see there a Leaving Cert exam, because for all ChatGPT knows, it could be an A-level exam. So again, it's being that very clear, specific instructions. The other thing I would say as well is using explicit constraints. So I want 10 flashcards in terms of length, scope, format. What format do you want to include? Do you want answers as part of that? So if you have questions and that you want the flashcards to create, do you want to include those answers as well? So being very explicit in terms of the constraints that you want to give. Role playing, and you'll see some of the prompts that I have today will talk act like an examiner, act like a teacher, because you want it to think about if you're giving a piece of work that you want it to grade, you want it to grade it like if you were an examiner, because what it uses there, it will be using from its data set the key things on learning outcomes that examiners will be looking at that you have produced in any questions. So your teacher might be using. So you want it to look at your work with that type of view and lens. Controlling the output. So for example, you see in some of the prompts today, explain like I'm a beginner. So particularly if there's a concept in any of your subjects that you're really struggling with, using ChatGPT to explain like a beginner with examples. Or if you're an expert and you don't want the low level information, but you have quite a bit of knowledge, you might actually say explain like I'm an expert. So The only thing I would also say is really important to protect your privacy. So never upload anything that has any sort of identification, and verify your information. Now, where this becomes really important is I would say most students use the free version of ChatGPT, and accuracy on the free version isn't always as good as a paid version. So the accuracy, I think, for the free version is down in the 60s% of accuracy, where when you use the paid version of ChatGPT, which is about €20 a month, you are getting, up into the 80s and 90s in terms of accuracy, and also getting a lot richer tool to support and a wider data set to support your questions. So they in terms of prompting, these are considerations that I would think you need to consider. These are just common words, translate, create, design, summarize, list, explain, just common active words that you want to use as part of that prompting sentence. So I've put this in terms of ChatGPT tools. It's really involving now, if it's the paid version, so you can, the paperclip there, you can upload your documents, you can upload your teacher's notes, you can upload presentations, you can upload pieces of text, and it takes that, and then as you're interacting, that's where it's going to use its information. You can get it to, as you see there, help me summarize a text. Help me write, help me brainstorm ideas, perhaps maybe ideas, if you're given an essay, help me brainstorm ideas around that particular topic. So if you're using the paid version, it's really, these tools are really helpful. As I said, what can I help you with? Help me write, just an example there. If it's your own, if it's your paid version, one of the unique aspects of it is that you can create your own GPT. So for example, you can upload all of your notes if you have online notes that your teacher has created for a particular module or subject. You can upload all your notes and use the GPT as your own study aid. So rather than trying to find it in a folder or trying to find it in a book, if you've uploaded all your information, you can actually ask, generate your own GPT. You'll be sent a link to that GPT, but after you've uploaded, and then you can just ask it questions. So for example, if it's tell me about the causes of the 1916 rising, you don't have to look in your book, or you don't have to look through your notes. If you've uploaded all your notes, it'll actually take the information from your notes. So it's really, really handy tool, particularly, if towards the closer your exam, you want that information really quickly accessible to you. Projects then on the left-hand side of the paid version, it can become your really virtual study folder. So for every subject, you could have a create a project so that your prompts are centered in that particular project for a particular subject. So, in terms of creating information, verifying, creating flashcards and so on, you can just go to that project again and look at those outputs that is already created. So again, effectively creating a virtual study folder for yourself. So iteration is key. You mightn't get back the answer you want straight away, and that's because you're going to have to refine your prompts. So, be conscious of that in terms of the more specific and more information you give, the better it is. The other thing as well is sometimes students would struggle to create a prompt in terms of, well, I don't even know how to write this prompt. So you can actually ask ChatGPT to write the prompt for you. So you can say, well, I'm looking to create a summary of a particular text, highlight the key areas that I need to know, and anything else you think I should include in that prompt. So write that prompt for me. So it will actually write the prompt for you. So you don't have to actually be a prompt expert. You can actually ask ChatGPT to write the prompt based on what it is you want to find out, and then just issue that prompt after it's created for you. So, that's in terms of really, really useful, particularly if you're struggling to write those prompts and get that information back and you're having to make several iterations, actually get it to write your prompt for you. So if we look at some of these prompts, and I'm going to stop and give a demo of this now in a second. So if we want to create a study plan, so example prompt there is creating a study plan. You see very specific there, leaving cert student for 3 hours, study available in the evenings after 6:30. So I'm assuming you might have study in your schools Monday to Friday, and then available time from the study is Saturday and Sundays. 5 hours a day. Focus the plan over the 7 days, include break times and revision times, include any considerations that you feel that would help the student in this plan to improve their focus. So particularly, if you're a student that struggles to stay focused, you wanted to include something within that study plan to help you with that. So if I'm just going to stop sharing, and I'm going to share the ChatGPT, and we're going to just run that particular prompt. And I'll share it again in a second. Just copying it over. So we'll share again. The one that I want. You can see that there. So here I've just cut and paste this particular prompt that I've written, and you'll see now in terms of what it came back in terms of an output. So you can see it there, how quickly it's coming back. So we have the principles, it's using the Pomodoro technique, which is really, I had said, you know, I'm a student that, you know, needs to focus or struggles to focus, and the Pomodoro technique is actually really good for that. So you see in terms of what the plan is based on. Here's the weekly study. So it's giving you from Monday to Friday, because I said I have 3 hours in the day after 6:30. You can see it's 6:30. And then it's doing a 5 hours each day for a Saturday and Sunday. And now you see it's actually creating the plan for you. And it's actually using some of your subjects, and you can substitute these subjects in and even list out your subjects in the prompt of what you're doing. And then giving you advice in terms of focus and consistency in order to do that. And we also said about, you know, we want to have time for respite as well. So a healthy routine in terms of your sleep and how you reward yourself in terms of that study. So as you can see there, you know, how long does it take you to do a study plan? You could be, you know, I know my own children would say, oh, I'm going to spend the whole afternoon now putting my plan together. And here's a plan that was done in less than 30 seconds. And you can be as specific as you want in terms of that. So I'm going to stop sharing again, and we'll just go back into the presentation. Share a screen, and sorry, just. So have you seen that again? You can see this one. So that's the study plan in terms of a prompt that you can use to create it. And there just as other examples in terms of techniques for, you know, short revision practices that you can also use. So then in terms of making quizzes to test your knowledge, so create 10 questions, multiple choice questions with answers on Leaving Cert Biology respiratory system, creating 5 examples on trigonometry. I want to improve my Irish or my business on human resource management. I want 4 multiple choice questions. So you're really being specific in what you want. And I'm going to stop again, and we're going to have a look at one of those prompts that we'll share. So we'll create the one with related to the multiple choice question. So we get that one for you, and you can see again how quickly it does it. Now, if you have the paid version, you can actually output any output to a file, and it will create a Word document for you or create a PowerPoint presentation or whatever else you need. So we just have that prompt there. We're creating the 10 question multiple choice with answers. So we'll see it going, and it's on Leaving Cert Biology. It's taking its time. There it goes. So again, you know, less than 15 seconds, you have a multiple choice quiz, and it's giving you the answers as well, so that you can check and verify your own answers. So again, very, very quickly, really looking at it. And then we said specifically, you know, higher level biology paper. And we'll let it go there to the end. Any more quizzes you want, and you can copy that out into a document, or you can actually output your the quiz into a document and use that as part of your revision. So we'll go again, we'll share our screen. Okay, so that's just an example of quizzes. So then understanding key subjects. So explain, you know, theorems in simple terms, like I'm a beginner. So again, like what the output is. So if you're struggling with the Pythagoras theorem and you don't understand it or how it would be used in an exam, you know, that you're asking to explain it to me like I'm a beginner. Summarize the course of World War II for Leaving Cert History exam, highlight key areas that are important to study. I'm studying for Irish exam. I want to improve my Irish and comprehension skills on how I write essays. So I actually have that one done already, and I'm going to stop and share my screen with you. So you can actually see that. So I have this one already done. So if you have a look, so I put in that prompt in terms of an Irish exam. So it came back with, here are the top 10. Here's 10 tips for your writing, essay writing in Irish comprehension. And then it gave me information on the structure for an essay for an exam. Again, giving me sample phrases and linking phrases that will be good. And in terms with regards to maximizing your results in the answer, and then sample phrases to impress the examiner. So in terms of introductions and linking and conclusions and so on, and basically, would you like me to create a sample essay using this structure? So you could turn around and say, yes, please create a sample essay using the structure that you could again use as your study aid. We'll stop that again. Apologies, I'm going back and over, but it's really to give the concept of the demo. So again, we look at other areas with regards summarising key texts and points. So for example, if you have a lot of notes that you want to summarise and key points, you can actually say, I want the key points that I should know that is important for an exam. And so you summarize that. If you have the paid version, you can upload using the paperclip, upload your notes, or if you have the free version, just cut and paste the text in. And once it's in the conversation, it's there for the duration of the conversation. And again, you know, just using it to create, you could create your flashcards, you can create bullet points, summarizing it in terms of your revision notes, that helps you with regards to maybe to write something, or also your performance in an exam. So that's just another example. So we talked about flashcards there, breakdown in terms of creating flashcards. It's really, really good for that. So, so for example, I'm going to stop, and we're going to use one of the prompts for that. So I'll just use one of the prompts for the flashcards. Share again. So I'm going to use the one creating flashcards for key formulas and theorems for Leaving Cert higher level of physics. So I wanted to create flashcards for me there. So you can see it's looking at the key theorems and points that you need from a physics perspective. From mechanics to electricity to waves and light. And as you can, this is a really important study aid, because you may have this information throughout your textbook and throughout your notes, but it's to be able to access this very quickly using these flashcards. And you know, do you want it to create printable flashcards, or you could actually even output that to a PowerPoint presentation, or we have DALI here on the left hand side. You could create images for these theorems in these flashcards. So it's really up to you what you want, but it's to get all of the information, and it's coming from, as we said, the Leaving Cert physics. So again, being that specific around what you're looking for in terms of generating the flashcards. We'll stop again, and we'll just share the screen with the presentation. So just waiting for that to load. Okay, so then exam study. So you're looking at what are the most common topics coming up? What are the top 10 questions that could be asked in PE? What are the most common topics that appear in a French higher level exam? Help me practice my French conversation for my oral exam. So if you have the paid version, you can actually, you and a speaker and hooked up, you can actually have the conversation with ChatGPT. I won't do that today because in terms of the time allocated, but this is really useful tools to help you even, many of you coming up now will have oral Irish and oral language, foreign language coming up in Easter. So you implementing ChatGPT to use that as well is excellent resource. And, so it's really looking at in terms of what is it you want to find out? So, what are the common essay questions that come up in Irish? What are the common essay questions come up in English? What are the themes that come up, particularly whatever play you're going to have now when you go into the senior cycle? What are the themes that come up? What are the common questions that come up? So in the exam, and you're structuring your study around these particular points. So that really maximizes your opportunity in terms of doing well in exam. So then you want to evaluate your own performance. So you might have got an essay and you're thinking, well, I got 65% in that essay. I thought it did really well. So, uploading and cutting and paste, depending on the version you have, and asking, well, how could I improve this essay to get a H1? So I had a daughter who, when she was doing her Leaving Cert, she used to, ask the teacher afterwards, what could I do to improve this essay? She was always really good at English, so she was striving to get a H1. She was always getting in the early 80s, and at the end of her class, and she'd get an essay back or a question back, and she'd always go up to the teacher afterwards and say, how can I improve this to get a H1? And so she'd take that advice and she'd put it in. So here you may be nervous about approaching your teacher, in terms of asking for information or asking for that support. So here you could upload your question, upload your essays or whatever it is, and ask, how can I improve that to reach a H1 or a H2 or whatever it is, the grade that you're looking to do. Reviewing your essay. And so one of the things with these prompts, the second and third prompt, is that I wrote these prompts looking at what is the examiner looking at. So what would the examiner expect to see in terms of the learning outcomes that they're expecting to see in these questions or in these essays. So I use that information to put into the prompt so that you're getting that knowledge back to help you structure your answers in what, it doesn't matter what the topic is. So as you see there at the very end, act as a Leaving Cert examiner who's grading my answer. Did I cover all the parts? Did I fully understand the question? What was one thing I did well, and where do I need to improve in order to get a good result? So you're telling it to act, so it's going to draw on a lot more information in terms of its data set in order to be able to help you produce a better question. And what you've not seen me talk about here is getting it to write your essays, or getting it to write your questions, or getting it to solve your maths. What I'm using ChatGPT here is as a tool so that you can, you yourself can improve what you're writing, because you won't have ChatGPT in your exams, whether it's exams in, the summer or Christmas or your Leaving Cert, you're not going to have ChatGPT there. But what you can use it as a tool to help you better prepare for those exams, knowing where to maximize or how to maximize your answers. And that's where this evaluating your work is so important, and such a great tool to use from ChatGPT's perspective to help you get that insight into how you can improve your work. So then just additional tips, suggest ways in terms of helping with your Irish. What are the best strategies for solving complex physics problems? How can I avoid the common mistakes when answering higher level maths paper? So we're going to ask it one of these questions as a final demo to show you. So we'll share again. And we'll do one final demo to help you with that. So just loading there. Okay, so what are the key mistakes made by students for English Paper 2, Leaving Cert at higher level? Suggest ways I can ensure to avoid these mistakes to ensure I achieve a good mark. So I'm thinking away. So you see there, you know, underlying keywords, students make points, they don't support them with the references, they just embed it using the PE structure. I'm sure you're all aware of that. Over summarizing instead of analyzing. So focusing on the why and the how, not the what. And so giving you lots of information there around how you can avoid those common mistakes, so that when you're answering questions on English paper 2, you're getting really good guidance around how to do that. So you see here in terms of the poetry techniques and how to answer. So it's given lots of information here. Okay, so I'll stop that there. So you get an idea, it could be going on. And we'll stop sharing, and we'll just reshare the presentation. Okay, and we're coming to the end now. So then you're looking at sharing additional tips, and we'll just forward on. And so just one of the things I created as part of this then is a little cheat sheet for you, so that if you just wanted to, you know, take one slide away with you in terms of the your own study, that you'd have little guidance around, you know, your study tips, summarising your points, flashcards, and so on, that would help you in terms of your study planning for as you move into that senior cycle. As I said, be very conscious, just to finish, on that you don't upload anything that could be identifiable to you. Verify your information. You see, you need to be specific. It needs to know what subject, Leaving Cert, Ireland, a higher level, lower level, you know, being specific, using the personas of a teacher or an examiner, because it gives you a much better answer with regards to what they would be looking for. And that's where that being specific is so important. And as I said, using it as a tool. So you didn't see me say, write my essay or, you know, solve my maths problem, but more, what are the strategies to solving the problem? What are the strategies to achieving that good mark? And hopefully, you know, I know a lot of students are using it now, but hopefully this gives you a better insight on how to use it more effectively for your own study over the next few years. And that's it, Caroline, yeah.
Thanks so much, Marie. We have about 2 minutes left maximum,
Yeah.
but in that 2 minutes, could I ask you, I see 2 questions coming through the chat. One is wondering, do you think it's worth paying for ChatGPT, or can you get meaningful answers from the free version? And the second one is asking, and you probably touched on it there, but what are the biggest mistakes that students tend to make using ChatGPT to study or revise?
I think depending where you are in your senior cycle. So if you're in TUI, at the moment I would use the free version, but be conscious you have to verify your answer. I think it is definitely worth paying in your Leaving Cert year because of the bigger access to tools. So for example, the GPTs. So you can upload all your notes and create your own GPT that becomes really like your own virtual library. So rather than having to go through loads of notes to find an answer for something, you literally are typing in the query and it's pulling that information for you. So you don't get that on the free version. So I think that in your Leaving Cert here, definitely I would recommend it. It's only €20. We'd spend that very easily on a couple of tops and Shein, you know, from that perspective. I think what's the biggest mistakes is that you're not specific. You're not thinking around what the examiner or a teacher might be looking for, using those personas, being specific. And if you're not sure and you're not getting the prompt, the outcome of what you want, I actually would get it to create the prompt for you. So say, I want to write a prompt to get me this information, be very specific. Can you generate the prompt for me? And I would always include whether at the end of a prompt or at the end of something like that, and say, and include anything else that I haven't thought of to make this prompt more effective or to make this outcome more effective. It's a really good line to put at the end of every single prompt, because you may not be thinking of everything, where it has access obviously to a vast data set. So putting that and anything else you think I might need to know, or anything else you think I might need to include in that prompt to make it more comprehensive. And then it generates the prompt and it will ask you, do you want me to run this prompt now? And you say, yeah. You know, so as I say, you don't have to be the prompt expert, but you do have to know how to structure the prompts and leverage it in terms of being specific, using the personas, verify your outcome. And if you have the paid version, you can actually output the results to a Word document, to Excel. You know, say for example you're doing some work with accounting, you can output it out to Excel, you can output it out to PowerPoint presentation. So you can actually output the contents and you're gathering your notes that way. And as I said, you have access to all of the tools that it has now from the paid version that you don't have for the free version. So I would definitely, probably even a certain year, I'd recommend it.
Okay. Marie, I'm very conscious of time. Thank you so much. That was just so interesting. And as I said, we will share Marie's slides and the recording with you in the next week. Thank you so much, Marie. Thanks a million. Bye.
Bye.